We're recording, and we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Well, welcome to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. I'm Harry Schroeder. That good-looking young man there is Ian Scott. He's a 6'7" forward for the Indiana State Sycamores. Ian is having a terrific season. We're going to talk about that in detail today and talk about the Sycamores first. Ian, thanks for joining us today. Where do we find you today? What's going on in your schedule today pre-Christmas?
Yeah, coming in on finals week, we were able to have an off day today, so nice to get in the books and do our part academics-wise.
Academics is huge. You're a graduate student. I read somewhere where you think, I don't know what your degree is actually in, but you want to do some kind of emergency medicine kind of stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so graduated with a health science major with a medicine and concentration. So pretty much it's that pre-med sort of curriculum there at Grace College. So graduated from there and now looking forward to completing my master's in August and master's in biology.
Wow, amazing. NAIA All-American. I used to announce games in the NAIA and people aren't aware of how good the talent level is in that level of basketball, are they?
For sure. Yeah. I would say a little less more now than ever with guys getting kind of plucked out of the NAIA. But no, the 4 years I had at the NAIA level was, as deep as it could possibly across all levels. You in each state, you have these guys leading teams that are putting up some crazy numbers. So, yeah, it's definitely deep for sure.
And tell me about your time at Grace College. How did you end up there? And obviously you had a terrific career, 1,600 points, 900 rebounds, all the All-American status and all that. But talk about your time there.
Yeah, it wasn't very, heavily recruited out of high school. Had a couple of NAIA offers that I entertained. But ultimately, Scott Moore, Jordan Widener, and Stephen Holstead there at Grace College really did a great job of just – not even convincing me, just putting up their platform of Grace itself, of the community that they have, how they look at each other, how, teammates, love each other unconditionally. It's something I was really looking forward to. And also it being a theological seminary as well, some religious ties into it as well, it was valuable for me to look at.
At Grace College, you wore 23 and you're wearing 23 now. Any particular reason for that?
Scott Moore, he offered whatever, what jersey I wanted to be ultimately. And I kind of just stuck with that. Jordan's 23. That's cool. Might as well just stick on to that. Nothing seriously tied into it.
Yeah, younger players, everybody, the best player on every team was 23. Like if you go to any high school gym in America for a while there, the best player in the gym was wearing 23. If a guy was 23 and he was sitting on the bench, there was something wrong, right? And so I always ask players how they ended up in their number. So you graduated there looking still to play. Tell me about the journey to Terre Haute. I know your parents were Sycamores. Your mom was a basketball player there, but talk about the journey to Indiana State.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one for sure. It comes to time last year in January and February, I'm thinking about my next steps. Whether it's med school, applying for them and figure out I have another year to play basketball. So that was something that was super cool, very privileged to have. And, that journey of, talking to other coaches and other teams like that, I really wanted it to be an unbiased process. So I made it clear with my family, friends like that, like, hey, I'm going to take this up front and, kind of see what everybody has to offer. So it was very cool just to go to other places, to be honest with you, and see what, other programs had that was just different from the NAIA level. And, ultimately Coach Graves did a great job, and all the coaching staff, picturing what they saw of me and breaking down how I could be valuable to the team and how I can be a leader for the team. So that was ultimately what I thought was going to work out the best for me. And, it's being a plus of just being close to, I would say my second home.
Talk to me about Coach Graves. What was it about him? Not just, and you didn't say sales pitch, but just the sales pitch, the envisioning of how you could be utilized there. What about Matt Graves impressed you?
Yeah, he really down to earth individual. I can think about the times now, just walking in the driveway, talking about like, hey, do you think I could even do something academics wise that I really want to do? And he was like, well, shoot, I was a chemistry major my first year. Like, I understand the process that you're going through, and you can do whatever you need to do to study here. So I really appreciated that up front, and how he was just open for whatever I wanted to do within that field of it. So.
And then he had the heart issue, and he's been sitting it out. Coach Schlesinger has taken over for the time being. How similar or different are those two in a practice? I know they're still running the same stuff and all of that, but in a practice, how different are those two coaches?
Yeah, like you said, similarly in practice, but I talked about it yesterday in a different interview that they have with the school, just how animated, how different they are. Animated, Coach Sless will, he's loud and proud. He takes that on. He has no problem getting on somebody, which I appreciate, because everybody needs it at some point or another. But Coach Graves is really that, that smooth voice that, whatever he says is something that's really valuable to hear. And so you take that to heart, and, you're trying to run with it.
I've known Matt for years, really appreciate him and enjoy him. And I'm always glad when he lands somebody outstanding to play for him and play on his teams. We mentioned before, NAIA All-American, 18 points, something like 9 boards or something like that a game, a bunch of assists, a bunch of steals, a bunch of blocks, multifaceted guy. You do a lot of different things in your career. Not everybody can do that. Where's that mindset come from?
I think it originally just came from that mindset I had as, whether it was a high schooler or middle schooler, I wasn't the best player on the floor. I wasn't the guy that was just going to go and get a bucket. I just wasn't skilled in that manner. So just trying to do something that kept me on the floor. Grandpa, talking to me, just run to the rim, just go, once you get that rebound pass out, just take off to the rim. So that's something that I take to heart, and mentality wise is just doing something that, maybe somebody else doesn't do, and try and propel the team up like that.
When I look over the numbers, and I think Nick Rush told me this morning, I think you're 9th in the nation in field goal percentage. You're way up there in all the efficiency numbers. You're averaging about 13, 14 points a game. You just don't shoot it very often, though. I mean, can't you get a little bit more greedy?
I guess some are able to say that, but to be honest with you, I feed off my teammates like that. I don't know if there's a statistic out there of me going and just getting a bucket by myself. It's really something that is formed from our guards and just our offense in general, just being able to be somebody that's put in a good spot and facilitated by other people.
Yeah, talk about the offense there. It's a lot of movement, a lot of creativity, a lot of freedom for the players to figure it out while it's taking place.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that, you have to have a decent IQ to be able to be a part of that offense. So, it's something at Grace that was a little different. Me playing out of the high post and just getting into an action. Coming here and beginning of summer was something that just opened my eyes, like, hey, this is another style of basketball that you're able to do. And it's something that definitely we're picking up now more than ever. It's the offense is looking cleaner and cleaner by each game and each practice that we go through. And it definitely keeps defenders on their toes for sure, because we're able to do a lot of things with it.
Watched a lot of the Southern Indiana game. I was at the Southern Illinois Edwardsville game, so I've seen you guys a couple of times. And it does look more crisp today than it did 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that's just as it comes along. We mentioned, all the accolades at the NAIA level. Coming to Indiana State, did you think, hey, I'm going to be the leading scorer? I mean, maybe the question is, what was your level of confidence coming as you became a Sycamore?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's something that, I try to keep open-ended. I didn't want to put myself in a box of, hey, you're going to be this role guy that's going to try and do something like that. It's something that, you see every day. That's, it's an opportunity to take right in front of me. So I'm glad I'm able to, do some of the things I'm able to do now, but also just trying to be a part of a team that's moving forward collectively. So that's what, ultimately that's the goal and what I'm trying to see right now.
So at Grace College, on their website, you said your favorite Bible verse was Psalm 23. Talk to me about that a little bit.
It's a little different now. I have it on my lock screen here if I'm able to pull it up. I guess it's inverted for you now, but 2 Corinthians 12:10 is something that I really take to heart, just, in everyday troubles and something that comes up. I'm able to look at that. It talks about for the sake of Christ. Now I'm content with weakness, hardship, persecution, and calamities. For when I'm weak, I am strong.
Love that verse. It's a terrific Bible verse. I'm going to do some word association with you. Just first thing that comes to your head when I say Marcus Harding.
Bulldog.
Bulldog. Camp Wagner.
Shooter. Green light.
What was the second? Well, green light. Okay. Sterling Young.
Queens, New York basketball. That's something that just in my mind. Yeah.
Okay. Derek Vorst.
Puppy dog. I guess that might be too. I call him, he's my roommate, so that's something to know. And that might have something deeper to that, but yeah.
Okay. And what about St. Bernard?
High flyer. My goodness. I know you've been able to see it more now than ever in that last game, but yeah, that's something we see every day.
Yeah, that there was a first half dunk last week or this past weekend. It was pretty exciting. You guys are 6-4, and as you mentioned, the offense kind of getting more crisp and more clean. What's the growth path been like for this large group of new players? While there were still some guys left from last year, what's this growth path been like for your team?
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure. Us being an older group, it'd be nice to say that we're 10-0 right now, and that we've gotten our job done on conference wise to do that, but not necessarily something that's happened with it. So that's what we look at each other, we try to figure out what our issues is, and we move forward with it. And so that's why I like to see the most from it, and also just how we're moving together as a team. Whether you look down the bench with somebody else making the play, maybe a guy that's ahead of somebody else, or something that there's something to cheer for with it, which I'm really happy about. But like we had talked about already, it's the growing pains at the beginning of the season. We'd rather be playing our best basketball in March rather than here in November and December. So.
And I know Coach Graves is trying to get healthy enough to get back. That'll be an interesting adjustment for the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. He's been around at practice, and so that's been nice to see him as well. I don't necessarily think it's a benefit of it, but actually last year with Sycamore, there was an incident like that where he was sidelined a little bit with a heart issue. So that's something that, I've seen before. I've been able to react maybe differently from others with it, but it's nice to, see them go through it and get better, honestly.
You're 9th in the league in scoring, 2nd in rebounding, 14th in assists, 7th in steals. You're all over the Missouri Valley Conference leadership board. When you step back, we talked about it before, doing a lot of different diverse things. But is that something you take pride in? And also, how can I ask this question? Is it kind of like the love of the game? Like, I'm a guy that looks at that kind of stuff and I think, oh, this is a real basketball player, not a one-dimensional guy.
Yeah, that's something that I hadn't heard before, all those leadership stuff. I don't necessarily seek out after that. That's not something that I look at after the game of, oh, man, what's the box score looking like? It just comes down to winning with me. So if that's something that I have to do to necessarily win, I'm happy to do it. But if it means I'm boxing out somebody else for one of our teammates to get the rebound, I'm all for it, to be honest with you. Yeah,
I saw you guys at Southern Illinois Edwardsville. It's the only game you didn't score double digits, but you grabbed 13 rebounds. I mean, just do what you got to do, right?
For sure. Whatever it takes to win.
And so finally, you haven't gotten around to the Missouri Valley Conference yet, but talk to me about playing at the Holman Center. I think it's a spectacular arena. Talk to me about campus life in Terre Haute and playing at the Holman Center.
Yeah, Holman Center is one of the best places to play in the conference, to be honest with you. Love how it's designed, and I'm able to see my people up in the stands and certain things like that. But it's also nice to see all the kids and stuff that come out. And after the game, we take a lap around the court and give high fives and take pictures and certain things like that. Like, that's something that I appreciate, and that's something that I'll think about later in my life rather than maybe a certain game. like we played USI. But campus life in itself, it's great to see everybody, walking around like saying like, hey, way to play well last night, or good luck next week. It's certainly something that I do see quite a bit, and across all of our athletics, having a sister here as well that plays volleyball, just the interaction between sports is great to see as well.
Sister that plays volleyball, mom played basketball. It was almost like predestined you were going to end up there. I know you said you had to have an open mind. You wanted everybody else to have an open mind, but wow, it sure seems like the family connects.
Yeah. That's out of high school, you think of playing out of school and you're sitting there for 4 years and you're graduating, and the times have changed for sure.
Before I let you go, are you Pastor Shan, my friend Pastor Shan, then?
Absolutely. Yep.
You hang with him a little bit. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Listen, before I let final thoughts here, when I think about the Sycamores, Coach Graves, where you guys can go, talk to me. I don't know if I can even ask this question properly, but do you guys think about, do you project out, man, we're watching the rest of the league, this is where we think we slot in? I mean, do you even think down the road into the Missouri Valley Conference race at all at this point?
To be honest with you, not really. It's sort of that mentality of taking a game at a time. When you look at certain things, you hear him talk about last year, like, hey, defensively, we were really poor. We're allowing a team to score a certain amount of points. And to be honest with you, I myself, just speaking for myself and not anybody, I'm happy where we are at now defensively, holding teams to a certain amount of points. And, for me, I'm able to see what we do in practice day in and day out, and ready for that offense to get the kickstart and get things going. So to be honest with you, to go back to what you asked, no, not looking down the line.
We're shutting that down, Harry. Good enough. Ian Scott, appreciate you having a terrific season. Appreciate your time today. Wish you guys all the best there in Terre Haute and the rest of the conference season.
Thank you, Harry. Thanks for having me on.
That's Ian Scott of the Indiana State Sycamores. They're 6-4, and he is having a terrific season. Folks, thanks for watching today. We appreciate it as always. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon. Thanks, Ian.
Awesome. That was great. Hope you got what you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it greatly. And I see Nick there in the room. I don't know if Nick is still there. I'm going to hit that button really quick. Are you there, Nick? There he is.
Yep. Hop on a little. You guys got started early.
Well, he connected, so I thought, well, I'm not gonna punish the guy for showing up early.
Yeah, might as well, right?
Right. Ian, thanks so much. Nick, thank you. I always you're such a help.
Not a problem.
All righty.
Yep.
Well, I hope to run into you guys soon. Thanks.
Yep. See you.
Got ready.
Right.
See you.
Bye.